As we look back on it many years later, and we look as the people poured out of the Twin Towers, we give a thought to the firemen that poured in and the police that poured in to save as many lives in the Twin Towers as they possibly could, without giving a single thought for their own lives. They poured in huge numbers to try and save as many as they could. A lot of the firemen perished in that, and they were taken to a hospital in upstate New York. In that hospital was a local woman from Kinsale. Her brother owned a farm just outside the town here. Obviously, she had worked in that hospital for many years, and she was one of the senior staff in the hospital. Seeing this awful tragedy unfold in front of her and trying to do what she could for these incredibly brave firemen, it obviously had a huge effect on her. A few years later, she returned back to her native Kinsale, and she built a new house on her brother's farm in a place called Ringfinnan. When she had the house built, she decided that she would plant a tree for every fireman that lost his life in that awful tragedy. So she has 343 trees in the garden. So this is going to be our stop now. We believe that any tourists that we take down to Kinsale, that we will take them to see the Garden of Remembrance. It's just a few minutes visit, and it gives everyone a chance to remember these great brave firemen that gave so much to save so many. Now, after 9/11 was over, about maybe 7 or maybe 8 years after it was over, the Irish government gave a free trip to the wives of the firemen. Aer Lingus flew them in free of charge. The bus company that I worked for gave them free buses. The hotels gave them free accommodation, and everything was opened up free to them. Now sitting behind me, I had 45 women, and each of them had lost their husband. So as you realise now after a few days travelling with me that I take things pretty lightly, and a good sense of humour, but I often wonder what I was going to do with 45 women that had lost their husbands. But to tell the truth, if they could be over it, these were tough people. These were tough women, tough New York people. And you know, they really appreciated what was happening for them and why people would do this for them. And I took them to the Garden of Remembrance, and the first woman off the bus, the first tree inside the garden with her husband's picture on it was the picture of her husband. We had a lot of tears that day, and you know, they really appreciated it. So ever since, we believe in taking the groups up here just for the few minutes to let them see what a small community in the south of Ireland would do. And do remember that Ireland was the only country in the world that had a day of national mourning for the victims of 9/11. The sun is supposed to be shining now and the rainbow is supposed to be out. But a few minutes here will be quite good for us.